just a bit outside.
Welcome on into another episode of Nate Hit the Foul Pole. I'm Zach Boardman, joined by Matthew Pine. How you doing, Matt?
Fantastic. How are you doing, Zach?
Good. And we also have guest host Mark Burnside. You can find him on Twitter at Burnsy1994. How you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. So we're going to talk some baseball today, of course. Going to talk a little bit about the MLB, the Show Players League, and also a little bit of Orioles news, the first in a good bit. So let's start off talking about the Show Players League. What do you guys think about this? DSJ is 6-2. Joey Gallo's leading. He's 11-1. What are your guys' takes on this?
Well, I mean, I watched a little bit of the live stream from Dwight Smith Jr. last night, and he was getting into it, talking a little trash. It's always good to see. I've been really tuned in, though, to Joey Gallo, because that dude is hilarious on a Twitch stream. He was talking about how ugly his pictures were on MLB The Show.
Yeah. They did me dirty with the picture here. Let's look at it again. See, now, here's an example. Mike Minor. This is a great picture. It's a nice picture of him pitching. You know, it makes sense. Here's a picture of him staring at the camera. It looks good. I just don't understand how my pictures got picked, and the guy said, that's the picture we're putting on there. That's the one. You know, look, and Elvis, all right? Right? Good picture. Nice smile. He's about to hit a ball right here. Probably a line drive to right field, just a single because he got no pop. But it's a nice picture. So why in the hell did they think that this would be a good picture to put for me? I just want to know. I just want to have a talk with the guy. What is going on?
And he was kind of clowning Elvis Andrus a little bit, saying he didn't have any pop, which, it's pretty entertaining. And that's what I like to see. I like to see a little bit of character, a little bit of humor out of these players.
Yeah, it's just nice that some remnants of baseball is being played, even if it's not real. And it's by guys that understand the game. And to be honest, Joey Gallo is probably out-kicking his coverage with the Texas Rangers playing with them. If he's using the exact roster. They're using the exact rosters, right?
Correct, yeah.
They're not using... Yeah. So, I mean, he's 11-1 with the Rangers. Like, you'd expect a guy, who's the Yankees?
Tommy Kahnle.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you expect them to be 8-4 at least, without even having to you got to try. But some of these rosters are just loaded.
For sure.
And of course, the Astros roster is still loaded, and
yeah, it's kind of fun to watch because you look at the players' reactions, hitting a home run or getting a nice strikeout or something like that, and it's kind of the same reaction that I have, either wanting to throw your controller or or the other way. But it's kind of nice to see these guys and also see a little bit into their daily lives. I know a lot of the teams are also doing Instagram live streams and stuff like that about these, and of course Twitch streams. So these are definitely pretty fun. Like you said, it's nice to see them playing any sort of baseball. So it's definitely a good time. So I just want to make a note. Carlos Santana is 1-9. So Matt and I were talking last time that maybe a lot of the older players weren't going to do as well as a guy like a Gavin Lux or a Blake Snell. And yeah, Santana's 1-9, so he's got to figure it out. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, besides the fact that we get to see, like Bernie said, some remnants of baseball being played, I mean, the teams are just craving this content. Like, they don't have anything to put out there, and from a fellow social media marketer, this is huge for them. They're basically just having to replay old games at this point. So any kind of content that they can receive and put out there and keep fans involved and engaged is good stuff.
Yeah, and I just want to make a note too that Trevor May is 7-5, and we predicted last podcast that he was going to win the whole thing, and he's only 7-5. That's not even that good, so I'm kind of surprised there. Not going to lie. So I want to get into a piece of Orioles news here. One of the first pieces of Orioles news in a while, and it's that the Orioles are going to get a really nice international player this year. It's Samuel Basayo, a catcher from the Dominican Republic. This is a top international prospect. He's ranked 31 on Baseball America's list. This is extremely significant in multiple ways. I mean, not only because the Orioles are getting a quality talent, but it means that the Elias regime is doing what they promised and coming in and, infusing international talent into the organization. So this is extremely exciting. I know you guys are both pumped about it, so if you want to give your thoughts on that, feel free.
It's nice that we're getting a guy that's in a position of need. I mean, I know we all like Adley. Cisco's up at the majors right now, maybe AAA, depending on what happens with spring training, if we ever have a spring training, or continue spring training, I should say. But it's good that they're finally dipping into the Dominican. Maybe we'll look at some Cuban guys again. South America in general, even Japan and South Korea, they still have guys over there that can definitely play. It's just nice that we're actually going into the international market. I mean, if you look at every other team, they just utilize that market and they get these guys. Now, these aren't like cheap contracts, but very viable. The upside is so much greater than, I'd say, 75 to 80% of the guys that are coming out of America. That's just my opinion. I mean, I've seen the talent and I see the difference in just abilities. Plus, these kids are being, coming out of a baseball factory at the age of 10. I mean, all they do is play baseball 12 to 15 hours a day, and that's all they do. There's no school. There's no I mean, that's up for debate, but it's good. I'm glad they're finally going in a direction that's going for international players.
So I have a couple notes on Basayo. He is ranked 31st out of 50 on Baseball America for the top 50 2020 international draft prospects. The report here says Basayo is one of the youngest players in the class. He's only 15 years old. He will be eligible to sign once he turns 16 on August 13th, so he's not going to be in that initial July 2 signing pool. And he's expected to sign with the Orioles for a bonus near $1.5 million, which is, insane for the Orioles. They don't really sign a player for that much ever. He's super tall. He's already 6'3". Bernie, you could probably speak to this. He's already 6'3", and he's 15 years old. And he's playing catcher. You were 6'2" at that age?
No, that kid's about to be 7'2" if he keeps going that way.
Well, my point being is he is not going to stick a catcher if you're already 6'3" at age 15. So, he's going to grow into his body a little bit. He's already 200 pounds, so this is a big kid. You expect him maybe he'll move over to first, maybe an outfield position, but it looks like a pretty good get for the Orioles.
Yeah, there's not much information on him either because he is only 15 years old and he is, an international prospect, and there's not a lot of scouting that goes on there, but from what the scouting reports have said about him, he has good agility, he has a plus arm, he can drive the ball from the left side of the plate, so all pluses there. Like you said, I think he'll definitely move to first base, especially with Adley Rutschman coming up through the organization. It's kind of not really a need. We don't really have a need at first base either, I should say, but he'll move around maybe in the corner outfield. A 6'6" corner outfielder would be kind of interesting. Hit a lot of jacks, but I think it's a really good signing, and it's just very significant because the Orioles haven't signed a top 50 prospect in years in the international market, and especially being from the DR. The Orioles in years past have gone to Korea and to China and other places like that where they haven't really scouted in Latin America. So Kobe Perez is doing a good job. This kid trained with Ivan Navoa, which is the trainer that Jason Dominguez, the great Yankee prospect, trained with. So, there's a lot of upside here. Hopefully comes up through the minors quick, makes it stateside quickly, and becomes a good player for the Baltimore Orioles.
We now get to our interview with Orioles prospect Willy Yahn.
Okay, we now welcome on Willy Yahn. Willy is a player in the Orioles organization, and he went to the University of Connecticut. Willy, welcome on into the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
After getting drafted in the 25th round out of UConn, what were your expectations coming into pro ball?
I wasn't expecting to do anything. I was really just trying to play my game. I was trying to keep on doing what I was doing at UConn and really focus on winning games going into exactly which organization I was going to, be sent into, but my expectation going into the draft really was just to find an organization that wanted me and try to win as many games for their minor league teams as I can and prove that I belong with their big league team. So we're kind of in the middle of that process right now. So it's been a blast so far.
Were you excited getting drafted by the Orioles?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Orioles. There was one scout in high school. He was the only one that showed any interest in high school. I wasn't a prospect and coming out of high school or anything. But he came. He knew my high school coach. Checked out a couple games, and ended up being the same guy that was talking to me at UConn, Kurt Fredrickson. So it was really fun being able to know that that guy saw my development from my senior year of high school to junior year at UConn. And I knew the Orioles were probably the only organization that actually had insight going all the way back to high school. So it was pretty cool to see that.
It's awesome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here, man.
Hey, Willie, it's Mark Burnstead. How you doing, man?
Hi, good. How are you?
Not too bad. Just, being cooped up and not being able to go work out or do anything, basically, and just watching Netflix all day. Yeah. From Connecticut. Most people, when they think of MLB players and they think of guys that are able to work out all year round, and you got to play in Florida, Texas, California. You're actually one of 20 guys that I was able to find that are from Connecticut. Two that stood out to me: Matt Harvey and George Springer. Have you had any conversations with them? And if you have, what have you guys kind of talked about, or have they been any kind of a mentor to you?
So the only one of those two that I've talked to before is George Springer. He's a really great guy. We actually played for the same travel ball organization, like AAU back in the day. We played for Team Connecticut. He was a couple years before me, of course, but he came back right after he got drafted. That was when I first met him. And talk to my travel ball team, and then he'd come back once a year to UConn, and I'd catch up with him. It wasn't we're not homies or anything like that, but I've met him a couple times, and he's a really good guy. And my favorite part about him really is you can tell how much joy he has for the game. He truly loves it, and it kind of when he talks about certain aspects of baseball, he just lights up like he's talking about a 12-year-old talking about Christmas. You know what I mean? He's really excited to talk about the game and just share his experiences and see what other ball players are going through and stuff like that. So I think it's been about maybe 2 years now since I've seen him on campus at UConn. But every time I have, it's been a really good experience.
So, Willie, you've been throughout several steps of the Orioles organization now, including stops at Aberdeen, Bowie. I think I caught up with you when you were in Frederick. Who are some of your favorite teammates that you've had so far?
Yeah, I've had a lot of good ones, so it's pretty tough to choose from. But I think we got a core group that spans back to the 2017 draft class guys that got sent down to the Gulf Coast League in the GCL in Florida. And it's Will Robertson, who now works for the Baltimore Orioles, and then Max Hogan, who he got released, but then there's JC Escara and Rob. Mm-hmm. And there's a few other guys in there. There's not many of us left from that team, but it was a really good group of guys, and it was kind of an older group because we had a lot of college guys get drafted that year. And we call ourselves the GCL survivors because we survived that season down in Sarasota, playing at noon every day, and we were able to move on to bigger and better things, meaning actually playing in front of fans and not in 120-degree weather. So, but those core group of guys from that team are probably they're some of my favorite teammates that I've had in pro ball, just because I just remember meeting them for the first time in this, it's like spring training facilities over there at Ed Smith, and wondering what we were getting ourselves into, and to see what we've become as friends down the road is really, really special. So probably those guys for sure.
So when you got drafted, and you got drafted with a different administration than the one that's currently in here, with the Elias administration, did you notice analytics kind of taking part in your game at all and changing your swing or anything like that?
Well, I guess in the last a little bit over a calendar year since the 2019 spring training, I've definitely noticed analytics. Just kind of, they move it to the forefront of importance and of like setting lineups and figuring out like where guys are moving up and down. It's really not as much, which I kind of like because it's pretty cut and dry. It's not as much of a, the old school, old fashioned like scouts. I see something special on this guy or something like that. It's like, no, you're the producing and you're not. The analytics aren't going to lie. The analytics spit out the lineups every single day for every single affiliate. You know what I mean? So I'm in the middle on it because I like the super analytics, and it really is cut and dry. It rewards you if you're doing well every single day and all of that. But I also, I have my old school roots to baseball, that I really think like sometimes there are certain intangibles that guys have that you can't measure on paper, But I like the way that they've approached it with. They're not like pulling a guy aside and say, "Hey, your swing stinks. We got to totally fix it for the sake of analytics." They're just saying they just throw things your way. Especially this spring training, there's a lot of young guys throwing things your way just as suggestions, and it's more of a conversation about hitting instead of we got one way to do it, cut and dry, either sink or swim. They were really good with us this past spring training of just telling what the overarching organization message from a hitter standpoint is and how they think that you can fit the mold, do an X, Y, and Z, and stuff like that. So I think the conversation in spring training for all of the minor league hitters was really constructive, and it was pretty cool to see.
Is there a player, past or present, that you kind of model your game after? Like, do you ever like watch a game back on film or you're watching it live and you're just like, wow, that was really cool. I kind of want to try that. Like, do you do any of those kinds of things?
I think there's definitely when I was watching a lot of highlights in high school and in college, and I always watched Derek Jeter and Cal Ripken Jr. I watched especially Cal because I'm more of a third baseman and he transferred over to that position. But I not only like on the field, those guys are great baseball players, infielders, pure hitters and things like that. But they're also just such great guys. And I've had the privilege of meeting Cal, and he's as nice as everybody describes. And he still will have lines, out the parking lot to stop unless someone drags him away, And it's like the type of respect that those guys get, on and off the field is, I wanted to just, even just try to emulate that because those guys they're such good guys and they also just happen to be great at baseball. So it's, I was always, Jared Jeter's, respect with the number 2 in there. It always comes to mind. So those guys are, two of the greatest, men there are in the game, let alone players. So I try to emulate those guys for sure.
I mean, just to cut you off there for a second. So you got Jeter for the 2, and you got 7. Can we put Billy Ripken in there as 7? he's the only number 7 for the Orioles that in recent memory. But to segue into Cal, you throw to Ryan across the diamond. Do you like his target? Because I know he's 6'6". He's a tall guy over there.
Oh, he's a great target. Yeah, it's great. It's great. You never have to worry about throwing too high to him. Yeah, but he can pick it a little bit too. I don't think he gets enough respect for his defense. He's got pretty good hands over there at first, picking up some of my sinking fastballs. But yeah, no, I like throwing C pretty much my whole career, JC Escara. So I've had two good defensive first basemen over there picking up my sinking fastballs.
Yeah, I think Mark wanted to slip that question in there because he played against Ryan back in the day. But
okay.
As a bit of a wrap-up for you, Willie, obviously the season has been suspended just due to the virus, and we were talking a little bit offline about this, but how has this really affected your routine, your off-season workouts, and now that it's bled into the season?
Yeah, it's been pretty tough. I mean, it was this past spring training, there was so much excitement going into it, and after coming off of a pretty good year, I went down. I wasn't invited to early camp, but I went to early camp. That's what I've done the last couple of years. And got a lot of really good work done. I was down there for about a month. We got sent home, and I was kind of lost at first. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know where I was going to end up during this time. Didn't know how long it was going to be. And it's been, I'm able to hit with, either my dad or a couple friends, but you can't have a group. I actually got too big of a group, according to some people in my hometown, and the town mayor, town selectman, called my house and yelled at me because he knew nobody was getting that many people to play baseball unless it was Willy in town. So, I don't really know what to do with myself. I mean, I have backpacks with like rocks and, lifting up coolers and things like that for workouts. And then just hitting down at the old town field. So it's about all you can do. It's kind of weird because I feel like I'm doing so little, but it's practically the most that a minor league baseball player in this situation can do. So I kind of have to have patience with the situation and realize that I can control what I can control.
Yeah.
Well, Willie, we hope you and your family stay safe, and every one of your friends and everyone that you're affiliated with. And we give our thanks to you for coming on the podcast, and have a good one.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks guys so much for having me, and stay safe and healthy to all you guys and your families.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks
have a
for
good
you
one
too, man.
As we move on to our next segment, obviously we wanted to give our guest host a little bit more of an introduction. Mark Burnside had been buddies with me for a very, very long time. We went to Cal Ripken's Hall of Fame induction together. Went to high school together. Stayed friends ever since. Been to a couple Ravens games here and there, right? Been to a couple tailgates as well.
Couple W's.
Yeah, damn straight. So, Mark, if you just want to introduce yourself to our listeners, just give us your baseball background from high school to college, and then I believe you played some professional.
Yeah, no problem. I played 4 years of high school baseball at York Catholic High School, located in York, PA. Wasn't heavily recruited right away. So I had either some small Division III schools to go to or decided to go to junior college. Maryland Junior College is one of the best choices I ever made for my baseball career. Just being a better player, better student, better person. To me, there's a lot of good programs. There's Hartford Community College. There's Frederick, which we all know about the Frederick Keys. There's CCBC Catonsville, as well as Dundalk and Essex. But we go down and we play all these teams in Florida, Texas a couple times, California, and you just get these teams in these tournaments and you're playing and you're just like, wow, these guys are in junior college, but the level of talent is tremendous. So I knew it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Played there for 2 years. Was able to transfer to a Division II school down.
And you played with at CCBC. You played with some of the Flacco relatives, right?
I played with Brian, and Brian's Joe's brother, and I played with Dave, which was his cousin. So Brian was really, really good. Dave was good too. Brian actually, he probably could have done anything he wanted to. He was just that athletic. But I think I don't know. I haven't kept tabs with him in a while. I don't know what he did after Catonsville. I think he was in the Towson area because I know his brother, it's Tom, right?
Tom, yeah.
Yeah, Tom. I know he's looking to get drafted this year in the NFL draft, which I think, 6th, 7th round pick maybe. I don't know. It just depends on quarterbacks. But Brian was good. Dave was good. Really good people, really good family. Got nothing but nice things to say about them. So from there, and then I went to Limestone College, which was a Division II school. And not to keep talking about the draft, but a guy from Lenore Rhine played in that's going to get drafted.
Kyle Duggar.
His college is in our conference. Conference Carolina. So, like, there's guys, and I know there's a lot of baseball guys that have come out of, like, Mount Olive, some guys out of North Greensburg. The founder for our baseball program was Gaylord Perry. So that was kind of cool when I found out when I went on my recruiting trip there. That a legend, MLB legend, helped start our baseball program up. Then I played there for 2 years, and I still knew I wanted to play. I wasn't getting like a lot of scouting looks, so I did some assessments with some of the independent league teams around PA. Lancaster Barnstormers were one, and they told me to send some emails out to a bunch of teams in the Frontier League, which is an independent league, one of the many that are on the circuit. And I got some responses back, and after I got those responses, I got an invite to play out in California. So I went to this California Winter League out in Palm Springs. Was there for a month. I got signed within a week going there. The manager that was on my team, he signed me to a contract, and his team was up in Michigan playing in the USPBL. And then I went to Michigan for a couple weeks. Didn't make the roster coming out of spring training, and then just kind of kept training and kept staying after it for another year or two. But now I'm not really playing to be on the independent league circuit. I'm just kind of doing my job that I have now. I work for the United States government, doing work for the Navy for their naval supply, and that's what I do right now in Mechanicsburg.
Cool. Are there any? I have a fun fact for you guys. Mark, you're obviously well aware of this. Didn't you once strike out a big-time baseball player? Wasn't I present for this?
You were present for this. It was.
I know who it is. He was a big-time Pirates prospect.
I know. Is Jose Lobaton? No.
Jose Tabata.
Jose Tabata. That's right. I think the reason I forget that is because I was afraid of Alexi Casilla because he pounded the ball off the wall.
Yeah, you also faced Alexi Casilla, former Oriole.
On my team was Daryl Harang, who was Aaron Harang's younger brother, who played at San Diego State and also played for the I think it was the Phillies organization in the minors. I forget though. Or no, he played out in San Diego. Maybe played out in San Diego. They both might have. But I don't know. I can't remember all of Daryl's stuff. But yeah. So there's a lot of baseball connections that I've been able to acquire through the years, and just meeting people, getting to know them, just traveling around the country. I wouldn't have changed any decision I made ever regarding my baseball career. So
cool.
Do you want to give us kind of an overview of what would happen in the day in a life of a independent league baseball player?
Okay. So when I was out in California, this is probably the best because I was only out in Michigan for a couple weeks. So that was more like that first week when I was out there was more like an introduction to what was going on. And it was a week later, and the season was starting like a couple weeks, and they had to make 3 or 4 roster cuts. And my coach comes up to me and is like, hey, it's not like you're not good enough for the team. We just don't have any spots for you right now. So, it wasn't like I wasn't necessarily good enough, but I kind of saw the writing on the wall after like a couple days. I was like, all right, I got to be like perfect compared to some of these other guys. And some of those guys ended up going to like the Braves and a couple other organizations, a couple of my roommates that were there. But anyways, segueing back. So in California, what we did was we had infielders and outfielders had workouts from like 6:30 to 7:30. And then we were having games starting as early as 8 o'clock all the way till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon because we weren't playing under lights or anything up. So, and we would have like 2 or 3 games going on at a time at a couple fields. If you weren't pitching that day, you were kind of just going through your normal routine of stretching, band work, throwing, and then watching the game. But if you were an infielder and outfielder, you were getting reps in for fielding practice, getting your arm loose, getting your arm ready, and then you were going to take cuts, and then usually extra cuts after that for BP. Some of the guys like doing 4 or 5 rounds of batting practice for a game, and you might only have like 40 minutes for the game because all these games were kind of looping. But that's how those guys prepared. It was actually really surreal watching some of these guys go to work because I was like, man, I'm pitching, I'm throwing, I'm kind of loose, kind of just laid back to your job. And then after that, around 5 or 6 o'clock, I was having a meal, and then I was going to the gym and getting a lift in, which was 90% of the guys that were there. They were all going to the gym right after their games, whether they pitched or played or not, because they knew to keep strength up in that league and in that heat, even in January, you had to be lifting and running and doing all the extra things. So your day started at 6 and probably ended at 8 p.m. and then every day, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. That's what we did, play baseball.
Well, we certainly appreciate you coming on our podcast, and you're a good friend of mine, and we'll pleased to have you back anytime.
Yeah, man, it's good to be here.
I hope you're like a avid listener, right? Like you listen every week, right?
Every week? I can't lie. I can't lie to you, Matty. I don't listen every week.
How dare you, sir?
I know.
He's just covering up.
Kick him off the pod. All right, that about does it for this week's episode. Nate hit the foul pole. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at foulpolepod. Make sure you follow our guest host. He was gracious enough to join us, Mark Burnside. You want to plug your Twitter, Mark?
Yeah,
I don't even know your handle.
It's at Burnsy 1994.
And you can follow our guest, Willy Yahn, at Willy Yahn, YAHN. And as always, shoot us a 5-star review and a comment. We love our ratings on iTunes. We appreciate them. And we will talk to you guys next week.